Hello, probers.
Howdy.
Welcome to But It Was Aliens, the extraterrestrial comedy podcast brought to you by two of the smartest, dumbest, intelligently inept former MIBs in history. The reason we're former, and on some of the most wanted lists across the galaxy, is because we refuse to bend over. Except Sally. We refuse to keep the world in the dark about the extraterrestrial shenanigans, so we risked our life, limbs, and a probing to bring you the truth. From a top secret location, I'm your host for this week's episode. I am the king of the street grannies and the bestest of best friends, Granny Moonwalker.
Yeah.
And I hope that this catches on and people say that in their heads when they listen.
I don't.
Because you know I'm going to. And sitting opposite me, as always, is the man with the bestest of best friends. He is Queen of the Giants, the Alpha of the Greys. He goes by many names, so many that it would take another 15 minutes for me to list them all.
So that's what we're going to do.
Probers, I give you Grey Nuts, Grey Balls, Grey Chin,
Here we go.
King of the Greys,
Waiting for it.
Kendalf the Grey,
Waiting for it.
Sally,
There it is.
the tallest man in the world, Kev in the Grey.
As soon as you said, we refuse to bend over except Sally, my mind went, he's about to call me Sally.
Of course.
And I was just waiting for it. Oh, dear. Hello,
So, Sally,
listeners.
are you
Hello.
ready?
I am ready, Sally.
Stop bending over. I meant ready for the probe.
Sally is his own inner monologue there. Her own, in fact. Their own, sorry. How you doing today, Sally?
Probers and Kevin. Today, we're heading to somewhere new.
Woo!
That's right. We're heading to New Mexico.
Yeah!
Not old Mexico, but the new one. Apparently it has an abundance of upgrades. It's March 1952
I assure you it isn't.
in a small town of Farmington.
Farmington doesn't sound very
It's
Mexican.
not even Farmington, it's fucking auto-corrected. Farmington.
Ah,
A town so small that it only has a population of less than 4,000.
oh, quiet.
It sits in the region known as the Four Corners of the United States. This is where Colorado, Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico meet. Rumor has it that you can be in all four states at the same time, and I don't mean cut up into pieces.
If you stand literally right in the centre of the corners.
2 feet, 2 hands.
Yeah, you could twister it, starfish.
Yep. Starfish.
Feels like a bucket list thing, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I want to be in all four states. But then, what does that really mean? They're states that have been defined by probably pricks in olden times. This is my land. I don't care that you were born here. You merely adopted the land.
Let me introduce you to Marlo Webb.
Ah, Marlo. Thought you were going to say Mario.
Marlo.
It's a me, Marlo. Sa-ba-ba-ba-da-ba. Hello.
Marlo worked at the Perry Smoke Chevy Garage. It was just after 11 a.m. on the 16th or the 17th of March. The reason I mentioned both dates is because different sources have claimed that it happens from the 16th to the 18th and others from the 17th to the 19th.
All right.
So either the 16th or the 17th, just after 11
AM or PM?
a.m., Marlo noticed people outside standing and pointing up to the sky.
Ooh. Acknowledging the sky?
Acknowledging the sky. Marlowe went out to see what all the commotion was about, and as he looked up, he saw not one, not two, not three, not even four, Kevin, but up to 20
Hot damn.
objects moving across the sky from the east to the west.
Whoa.
Not only were these objects moving across the sky, but they were moving across the sky silently.
Are we talking like meteor shower or?
Silently, in tight formation. Occasionally, they would make sharp, tight turns. Ever known a meteor shower to do that?
Yes, actually.
Shut up. They remained visible for about 10 minutes.
Interesting.
Marlowe simply shrugged his shoulders and went back to work.
Didn't give a damn.
The days that followed would mirror a lot of the cases that we have covered. Marlowe would get a visit from the military. However, what is different is that they didn't force him to keep his mouth shut. He was allowed to speak freely about the incident with whomever.
That's a little bit weird. There were loads of visitors. Not visitors, sorry. There was loads of witnesses. You wouldn't think that, like, just witnesses to something in the sky, you wouldn't think the military would have been as keen to visit people in that scenario. Fair enough, when people are abducted, they have missing time and that kind of thing. They've had a direct contact experience. But when people just see something in the sky, or lots of people see something in the sky, you don't tend to get that kind of response. Unless I'm forgetting a case somewhere. That strikes me as slightly unusual. Meteor showers, when one of the meteors burns up, it can have a sudden change in reaction, direction, and shoot off from the pack, so to speak. I've been given the finger of shush.
The story would also hit the Farmington Daily Times. Take a close look at the title of one of those articles, Grey Balls.
I will do. I was just taking a close sip of my drink first. Huge saucer armada jolts Farmington. Crafts seen by hundreds. Jury gets bribe case. Heard denies charges. Is it that one you want to focus on?
No.
Entire crew rescued from exploded ship along the way. Blackout game proceeded slaying of pretty co-ed. Man seeks wife, $2,000 in cash. Newman writes letter to flying saucer pilot. Excuse me? Newsman writes letter to flying saucer pilot. Excuse me?
Yep.
Come again?
They wrote a letter to the pilot.
Where did they get the address?
Flying saucer.
What? Can you explain that to me?
No.
Newsman writes letter to flying saucer pilot. I mean, is that Earth technology or extraterrestrial technology? Because I'm querying how you know where to write the letter.
What if they just wrote it in the newspaper? Like, hi. Yeah.
Hope you're having a lovely day. This is a really nice place. You will come round for dinner. See you later. Bye.
Hoping that they would pick up the paper.
Slim to none chances, I would suggest, but take your shot, newsman.
What was very strange, though, is that there are claims that all of the newspapers which mentioned it went missing from every single newspaper stand around the town.
Huh? Didn't you just show me some?
We know the military didn't try to gag them, but allegedly, truthfully, other alphabet agencies made warnings for them to keep quiet.
Huge saucer armada jolts Farmington. You've just showed me it. That clearly hasn't gone missing.
That might have been the original. They might have kept a few.
Surely, if the alphabet agencies were trying to keep something hush-hush, they should be getting rid of every single copy. I mean, today, agencies stop things from going to print. Presumably they could back then. This strikes me as pretty poor. Was it like The Apprentice of the Mibs that was on this one?
To be fair, though, it depends how long
Wasn't
it would
fully
take
mibbed?
them to get to the location. Like
What year was this again?
1952.
Damn,
So
you knew
this
that off
could
the
have-
top of your head.
This could have happened and That's my case. Of course I knew it off the top of my head.
Oh, I forget constantly.
This could have happened, could have gone to print and gone out, and then they get word of it. Although I suppose the military were on them quite quickly.
Yeah, I mean, by the 50s, obviously we had radio and that kind of thing, and telephones. They ain't got to get there physically. They can just drop a threat.
Oh, that's true.
I'm going to kill you if you print this.
Called them, get rid of all your papers, get rid of everything, or we gonna kill you. You been wrong.
I've got a theory developing in my head. Did they get rid of some of the papers purposely to make it look like they were trying to cover it up, like a double bluff?
I have another theory, but I don't know if I should say it now or at the end.
Are you going to remember it at the end, or is it in your notes?
Oh, it's not in my notes. I'm going to say it now. Is it possible that every newspaper was just bought?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
someone's just gone, they took all of our papers.
They just sold them all.
Yeah.
I mean, with a big news article like that,
Absolutely.
those papers are flying off the press.
And what if they had them in those newspaper stands where you put the money in, it opens and you take a paper? Like, I've seen plenty of films where people have put the money in and just taken every single paper out and then just gone and like sold the papers.
Yeah.
For cheaper.
Absolutely. My thinking with the double bluff cover up, they want us to think that they're trying to cover it up because it's aliens. It was actually technology that they're developing is where I think I was going with that.
Okay.
So make the world think there's something alien going on to cover up the experimentation.
The actual military tech.
Yes. Yeah.
I see where you go.
I mean, you've got hundreds of witnesses here, so obviously something was in the sky. So it's rather than working out if it happened, we're working out the what was it.
Yeah. The following day, on March the 17th, or the 18th, depending on the source, around 10 a.m. that day, the police started to receive panicked calls.
Ooh.
Those calls were...
I was going to ask that. I forgot. I was going to ask if like any authorities were contacted by people go, oh my God, there's something in the sky.
The answer to that is yes, I just told you. Those calls were alerting them to the fact that they were witnessing up to 9 objects flying through the sky.
Did you say 9 earlier?
20 earlier.
I thought so.
Within 30 minutes, those numbers had grown from up to 9, not to 10, not to 11, but to hundreds. Hundreds, Kevin.
We've got an Independence Day scenario, folks.
The objects were described as shiny, silvery discs, and above them was something else, something different. Above them was a large red disc, possibly the mothership or squadron leader.
And it was called the Sun.
Clayton Bodie worked at the Farmington Times, and he was one of the witnesses to this phenomenon. He believes that there were around 500 of them.
Crikey, what?
He also thinks that they were at an altitude of 15,000 feet, but he couldn't estimate their size. There were 4 others that would corroborate Clayton's version of events.
So we've basically got an extraterrestrial invasion happening in New Mexico. You know what else happened in New Mexico, don't you?
We do. Do you reckon they were trying to find it?
Recover their lost compadre. Roswell.
It's only speaking of it now that this scene comes to mind.
Independence Day?
No.
Star Wars?
No.
Star Trek?
Nope.
Mars Attacks?
No.
War of the Worlds?
Nope. I'm going to keep letting you go because it's not going to be a film that you think.
Contact?
Nope.
Free Willy?
Nope.
Home Alone?
Nope. If I say, wee.
Chosen One.
Yep.
You're alive.
At the end, when they find out that the aliens are French
Kung Pao.
and all the
I forgot
alien
Kung Pao
ships
was an alien film.
come back or appear at the end,
Yeah.
maybe that's what that looked like. except they weren't pyramids. They were discs.
You're correct. I was never going to guess that.
I know.
My mind is a little bit blown by here, just going back to the basics. 500 crafts flying through the sky, and they've not said rocks or anything. They've said literal craft sources. Yep. Because you can see meteors, asteroids, etc. in the sky. You're not going to confuse them with discs. That's not really how they look.
One thing I have is, how do they count around 500?
Estimate. It's a guess, isn't it? But you're talking many.
I mean, there's got to be a lot
to pluck
for you
that
to
number
go
out.
500.
Exactly. Even if it's only 100, even if it's only 50, that's still pretty bonkers.
Mm-hmm. Later that same day, in the mid-afternoon, more reports would flood in. Eddie Brooks was a former B-29 tail gunner and was one of those that witnessed these events.
And he popped up in the sky. I'm back, boys!
He would state that the objects he saw were definitely not aeroplanes, as they manoeuvred very differently and couldn't be that of a modern aircraft. An honest witness, John Bloomfield,
oh, I trust this guy,
believes that these objects travelled 10 times faster than a modern jet fighter.
Approximate.
The fastest known jet fighter at the time was the SR-71 Blackbird, and that could reach speeds of 2,100 miles per hour.
Crikey.
However, these don't look like this.
Whoa. Okay, and that's a Blackbird for me?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to know what that reminds me of?
Austin Powers?
Nope.
Thunderbirds?
Nope.
Ah, X-Men. Okay.
John would go on to say that the objects would fly at each other head on and then avoid each other at the last minute, as if they were having a game of chicken.
That's weird. Why would they possibly ever do that? Is this like a school excursion? You got naughty kids flying their crafts, breaking from the pack, being adolescent wallies?
What if it's a training drill?
Military?
Like an extraterrestrial military training drill.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think
like
why
evasive
you would...
manoeuvres.
Okay.
Or testing tech.
Mm-hmm.
What if they have...
testing automatic evasive capabilities, perhaps?
Yeah, possibly that. What if the technology that they have in is set to behave like magnets that would throw them away from each other when they get into contact? I mean, I'm pretty sure there's different places they could have tested that, but, you know.
Question about the witness there.
Which one?
Bloomfield. Was he handsome?
Yeah, of course he was.
Yeah. Was he really hot? Like sexy?
I would say so.
Yeah, it feels like he could have been a model.
I'd also say he's probably got the bestest of best friends as well.
An absolute gene. Yeah, his best friend Sally. Yeah.
He can't be friends with himself.
But his name was John Bloomfield.
Yeah, John Sally Bloomfield.
He can be friends with someone named Sally then, can't he? Because it's not his first name.
He bent Sally over.
That's a lot of witnesses, again. All multiple events of something in the sky. And the capabilities that are being described makes it hard to argue with my gut instinct that it was meteor shower.
Mm-hmm.
Meteor showers all tend to go roughly the same way. They don't come from different directions and go away. Whilst they can change direction, as I said, as they burn up and whatnot, they don't tend to come from different angles, go towards each other and then repel against each other.
Yeah.
They just collide, if that was the case. Yeah, that's hard to explain.
8-year-old V. Riggs witnessed the objects from his school window on 2 of the days. And 60 years later, at a presentation in New Mexico, a MUFON presentation I may add, he would go on to say, All these square-looking formations appeared in the sky. They were made up of dots, and the dots would shift from one formation to another. The first day there were a few. The second day there were too many to count. And the third day there were maybe 30 or 40. Riggs would also say that the objects looked like a quilt pattern of double 6 dominoes.
Okay.
These objects didn't just stay in this formation, they would also change formation as they flew. Other kids also saw it, and they weren't scared. They thought it was cool.
So when there are meteor showers that over a couple of days last, don't know why I'm speaking like Yoda suddenly.
Over a couple of days they last. There tends to be on the first day a few meteors there are. Second day on the many meteors there are. On the third day, few meteors there are.
That's quite consistent with a meteor event being starting with a few and then the bulk comes through and then the end. So you've put me onto aliens, now you're putting me back onto natural astrological occurrences. Do we know if there were any meteorological events at this time? Like known ones?
Not that I'm aware
Because
of.
they come round, don't they, obviously? Okay. Curiouser and curiouser.
Harold Thatcher was a local resident. He wasn't an engineer, but he did work closely with some as they worked under him. He says that if these objects were the B-29, they would have been at 2,000 feet in the air and would travel at speeds over 1,000 miles per hour. But he says that the speeds that they were travelling at and the manoeuvres that they were executing made it impossible for them to be conventional aircraft. Now, this is the part of the probe where we turn to science and skepticism. Dr. Donald Manzel.
That's a familiar name.
It is. To the point it stopped me in my tracks when I was researching it. I was like, that's really familiar.
Is that someone from MUFON?
Not sure. Either way, Dr. D believed that what people were actually seeing was fragments from a high-altitude skyhook balloon that had exploded, and the shiny silver objects was just the debris. However, this does not account for multiple days of sightings.
Yeah, that doesn't feel as valid as the meteor idea. Why? And we've got no other theories.
No.
Well, shit. No photos?
Only the newspaper.
Okay.
That's literally it.
It's going to be a leap of faith, this one then, isn't it?
It's a good job you can jump. So to summarise...
I'm white!
Don't put yourself down. So to summarise...
Genetics put me down.
We have the New Mexico case of Farmington town, where between 3 days, hundreds upon hundreds of UFOs were spotted in the sky. I'm not going to go into much more detail because, to be honest, not much happened. They came up to about 20 at first, and then when they were spotted the next day, there was about 9 before around 481 more arrived, including a giant red disc, which was possibly the mothership. There was a game of chicken, but nothing else. We heard from multiple witnesses who were all allegedly trustworthy, but none have been vetted or interviewed without going to UFO conventions. So, yes, we do know about the military, but we have no proof that that actually happened.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I had a thought going back over the evidence there. The red disc, could that have been a comet? And what we, not me and you, what they were witnessing, what we too witnessed was was like the trail and the fall off from said comet and comet tail?
3 days. So would you have seen comet trail, then
Potentially.
second day comet trail, and then third day comet trail?
I mean, it could be any number of things. It could be a comet or asteroid caught up in like a group, a shower, as they call them. I wanna believe this one, but there's not much to the witness statements, and people are gonna add on at like conventions and whatnot.
They are.
Yeah, and if there's a lot of witnesses, but I feel like if this was really discs and not just like a meteorological event, there'd maybe be a bit more reliable witnesses. There'd have been military radar data, that kind of thing.
I mean, you can't dismiss something just because a child said it.
Well, no.
At the same time,
Where are all the other witnesses?
Yeah.
Like if there's hundreds, we've covered a couple, don't get me wrong, but
where are the teachers? Where is everyone else? Why is there no evidence?
that's
of
it.
any of this?
Why did this not take off like more spectacularly? If this was the event that's being described,
This would be massive.
you'd expect so.
500 UFOs appear, and we don't have a picture of one.
We're talking about possibly the most monumental event in human history.
Especially in a town that has a newspaper printers. Like, you would have thought they would have cameras.
Yeah, I mean, this is modern enough that there should be more of a response than what we've seen.
Absolutely. So, Greybeard, do you believe that this is a case of an extraterrestrial visit or just bullshit?
Kind of in the middle. I don't think it's extraterrestrial. I don't think people are all flat out lying. I think there was something seen in the sky.
So just bull?
Just it was science rather than alien. It was, astronomical. It was meteor, comet, some sort of space event rather than technology of other species is where I'm leaning.
What I would have originally gone for was military technology being tested.
I was there at one point.
But what stops me going there is the sheer amount of vehicles or like seen in the air. You saw 500 of them.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it's quite possible that they saw both. Day one could have been military testing because it was only up to 20. Second day could have been a meteor.
Do you know what? It could even have been some sort of experiment on an incoming meteorological event.
Oh, trying to see if they could destroy it before.
Destroy it, study it in some way, see what it contains, track it, see how good their tracking systems are. But still not alien for me, I'm afraid.
Sure.
Fairly certain, yeah. Doesn't have the gravitas.
What does Sally say?
You tell me, Sally.
We all know you're Sally.
Oh, do we though?
Yes.
Do we all?
Yes.
I mean, there's two people in this room right now, and one of them definitely doesn't.
And everyone listening knows that you're Sally.
Do they, Sally?
Thank you for joining us for this week's probe.
You look like
I'm
Sally.
the king of the street grannies.
Sally.
And
Sally the granny.
he's tired.
I'm so tired. Oh,
You can find us across all socials at But It Was Aliens. That's Insta, Facebook, and on the Twitter.
the Twitter.
On Facebook is a hidden location where you can find secret mummy memes and like-minded souls. That is called Extraterrestrial Towers. Don't tell anyone, but tell it. Also, on patreon.com/ But It Was Aliens, you can find side probes where we probe things outside of the extraterrestrial, like ghost dogs, ghost boats, ghost pirates, and ghosts that listen to Prince's Peg.
Oh, no.
And the dick of Rasputin.
The Whopper, if you will.
Hey, boo boo. Remember, the truth
Hey, boo boo.
is up there.
Oh, you gotta chow down on that thing.
Hashtag.